Hey guys, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 bringing to you a brand new awesome yet crazy theory for 2021, and this has always been something that's been on my to-do list for a really long time. I've been dancing around with various different ideas and concepts in terms of how to execute this theory. So I am dedicating this theory video to one of my good friends who's a huge fan of this character, especially this version in particular, and I am going to be talking about Helena Wayne, aka the Huntress, and this is going to be my theory on how I would bring Helena Wayne into Batman Beyond. Ever since the Huntress's inception back in 1947 in issue 68 of Sensation Comics, there have been at least 3 different versions of the Huntress character. The first one being Paula Brooks, the second Helena Wayne, and the third Helena Bertinelli. But for the purposes of this theory video, we are going to be mainly concentrating on Helena Wayne. The Helena Wayne version of the Huntress made her first appearance in DC Superstars issue 17 back in 1977, and since her inception, Helena Wayne has been and has remained to this day an important part of the Batman mythos, and she is the daughter of Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle, better known as Batman and Catwoman. And what I've always liked about the Helena Wayne version of the Huntress is she is very much her own original person. She is no way in any shape or form a copycat of Batman or Batgirl or Batwoman or any of the sidekicks like Robin or Nightwing. She is pretty much her own person, and she has always done things her own way, and she is very much a stubborn person, just like her dad, Batman. And she made her first appearance in Justice League Unlimited back in 2004, but that was the Helena Bertinelli version of the character, and she was a lot of fun to watch, and I enjoyed the chemistry that she and the Question had for quite a few episodes during the Cadmus story arc. But sadly that wasn't the Helena Wayne version of the Huntress, and Bruce Timm even mentioned at one point that he was considering bringing in Helena Wayne into Batman Beyond as sort of an answer to Batgirl Beyond, but sadly that didn't happen either. And the Huntress would make her next appearance in animation in Batman Brave and the Bold, but again that was the Helena Bertinelli version of the character, and she quickly sparked up a rivalry with Catwoman, and that version of the character to me just felt like Catwoman 2.0. Both costumes were very similar to each other, and Huntress in the show, even though she was cool, just seemed a little bit silly compared to the DCAU's take on the Huntress, but she appeared in a couple of episodes and they were okay in my opinion. And as we move along, the Huntress made her live action debut in 1979 in a TV special called Legends of the Superheroes, and from what I've seen in various pictures, she looked kind of silly in my opinion. And as we move along to the 2000s, the Huntress was played by Ashley Scott in a short-lived TV show called Birds of Prey, and that is, as far as historical purposes go, the only live-action appearance of the Helena Wayne version of the Huntress to appear in live action or in any form of media. And even though I felt Ashley Scott did a great job, the show and the script itself just felt a little bit clunky at times. And Ashley Scott to this day remains the only person to have played Helena Wayne in live action media. And as we fast forward to the next decade, we would see the Huntress make her next appearance in live action in the first 2 seasons of The Arrow, where she was played by Jessica DeGuo, and once again that was the Helena Bertinelli version of the character. And this version of the Huntress was portrayed as more of a anti-hero at first, and then later on she would turn into a full-blown villain and a thorn in Oliver Queen's side for most of the second season, and she would return in a number of episodes later on in the show's run, but once again that was not the Helena Wayne version of the character. And fast forward to 2020, and the Huntress would make her big screen debut as part of the Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn movie for the DC EU, and she was played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and once again that was the Helena Bertinelli version of the character and not Helena Wayne. And to her credit, I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead did an excellent job, and even though she was portrayed as a little bit over the top at times in terms of her attitude, I thought she brought a lot to the table, and it was really cool to see her kick a lot of ass on the big screen. And I'm hoping it leads to the Huntress having her own solo movie some point down the road. Now, in terms of how I would bring Helena Wayne into Batman Beyond, I would have, timeline wise, I would have Batman and Catwoman officially hook up as a couple sometime after the events of Justice League Unlimited's Destroyer, and Catwoman has finally given up her life of crime to join Batman and the Bat family in their war against crime, because in Justice League Unlimited epilogue it was mentioned that Selina Kyle left Bruce Wayne for good, so at some point during that time I would have had Selina Kyle finally join Batman and the Bat family, and at some point I would have had Selina Kyle fall pregnant and she quits the Bat family because she doesn't want to continue fighting crime, but I would not have her tell Bruce that she is actually carrying his child because she doesn't want the burden of Bruce Wayne's crime fighting life clash with him possibly being the father of the child. But I would also have sometime after that Bruce Wayne actually learns the real reason why Selina Kyle left him is because she was carrying his child, but out of respect to the child and Selina Kyle, he doesn't try to go and look for them, and he continues fighting crime all the way up to the events of Rebirth, which led to him eventually forcing him into retirement. So I would have Helena Wayne make her Batman Beyond debut sometime after the events of Justice League Unlimited epilogue, and we would see Selina Kyle learns about the existence of Terry McGinnis and actually contacts him to inform him that Helena Wayne is the child of Bruce Wayne, and she has kept her existence from him a secret due to Bruce Wayne's crime-fighting lifestyle and his unwillingness to commit to a normal life. And this shocking revelation would cause Terry McGinnis to completely snap and confront Bruce Wayne in a manner very similar to what we saw in Epilogue. And I would have Terry say to Bruce that, you know, it was bad enough that I had to learn the truth that I was nothing more than a genetically modified clone of you, but now I have to find out from Catwoman that I have a half sister out there. And Bruce could turn around and say, well, technically she's not your half sister by blood. And Terry says, screw you, Bruce, still family. How could you keep something like this from me? And better yet, why didn't you try and look for her? And Bruce could explain that I thought it was best that my child didn't know who her father was, and it just would have caused more complications, and the mission was first and foremost. And Terry could turn around and say to Bruce that, you know, I've always wanted a sister, but my parents tried for a third child, but it never happened, and now because of you, you robbed me of an opportunity to possibly have a sister and maybe even get to know her. Bruce, she could have been, you know, Batgirl, you know, or something, but you took that away from everyone. Just who the hell do you think you are? And at that moment, we could have Helena Wayne walk into Wayne Manor and say, yeah, Dad, just who the hell do you think you are? And what gives you the right to keep Terry McGinnis a secret from me? Haven't you thought about what I might have wanted? And Bruce could turn around and say, I was only doing it to protect both of you out of respect to both your parents. And Helena could turn around and say, Mum told me about what happened to Tim Drake. I'm sorry to hear that, but that still didn't give you a right to keep me a secret. I would have thought after what happened to Tim, having his head messed up at the hands of the Joker, I would have thought you would have wanted your family to be closer than ever, but instead you put yourself first, just like you always do. And Bruce could turn around and say, how did you know about Terry McGinnis? And Helena says, well, Mum filled in the blanks, but it wasn't hard to put it all together because think about it. Batman disappears for 20 years, and then all of a sudden a new Batman is patrolling Gotham and you happen to hire a new assistant named Terry McGinnis. Wasn't hard to put 2 and 2 together and come up with 5. And I knew your ego couldn't let go of the fact that Gotham couldn't exist without a Batman. And Bruce could turn around and say, that's not true. It's what Terry wanted. And Terry says, yeah, don't think Bruce takes all the credit. I wanted to be Batman. And Helena says, what about me? What about what I wanted? No one ever thought about that, did they? And Bruce could turn around and say, listen, no matter how it looks, I'm sorry that I kept both of you away from each other, but I just did what I thought was right at the time. And Bruce could turn around and say to both of them, so what happens now? And Terry says, well, I've always wanted to know my half-sister. Helena, you up for that? And Helena says, well, I'm up for that, but if you think for 1 second that you and I are going to be working together, then you're wrong. I've got my own career, I'm doing my own thing. And Bruce could say, and what exactly would that be? And Helena says, well, let's just say I fight crime, but not the Batman way. And Bruce could say, are you fighting your mum's way? And Helena could also say, no, Dad, I'm fighting my way. You see, to the outside world, I'm just Helena Wayne, but to the forces of evil, I'm the Huntress. And Bruce says, not bad at all. And your last name, what do you actually use? And Helena says, well, considering the fact that I never got to know my dad, the great Bruce Wayne, I'm Helena Kyle. And Bruce says, might be an idea to change that name Kyle to Wayne, don't you think? And Helena could say, 1 step at a time, Dad, 1 step at a time. So, you going to show me around this place or not, or am I going to have to find my own way around? And Terry laughs and says, come on, let me show you around the cave. Bruce, you coming? No, I'm good here. I'll let you two have some time to yourselves. I'm just going to sit here and keep Ace company. And Terry says, alright. And that's pretty much how I would bring Helena Wayne into Batman Beyond. Obviously, we all know that the Huntress never actually appeared in Batman Beyond, but if she did, this is kind of how I would do it. I would have Terry McGinnis learn the truth about Helena's existence through Selina Kyle just a short time before she died, and I would have Terry and Helena eventually work together after they get off to a very rocky start, but this is pretty much how I would do it. So I'm going to wrap this up now. What's your thoughts on Helena Wayne coming into Batman Beyond? Do you think it could have worked? And if so, is this how you would have done it, or would you have done it in a different way? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time. And I hope my friend enjoyed this theory video that I've put together for him. So keep safe, and I'll see all of you next time.